Hey everyone, welcome back to Life After Work. My name is Solomon. We're getting off to a good start in this new year. I just put up a video for the battleship. Now I'm going to put up a video for the Bumblebee. But it's going to be a little bit surprising to some of you because I'm going to start off with something less than perfect. If you'll allow me to zoom in and move my chair. There you go. This train. I know it's not a Bumblebee. It's a 10-wheeler. This is not a high-quality train. It is all plastic. The wheels are plastic. Everything's plastic. Well, that's because this was intended to be a battery-powered locomotive. And the battery packs and everything were in the tender. Well, when I bought this, I bought two of them. Neither one had the tenders with them. I bought them for parts. I bought them for experimentation. I bought them for parting out, mainly to just play with something that I didn't have to worry about breaking. I paid $10 for this. Well, actually, I paid about $18 for two of them, and with shipping it came to about $21. So I have less than a little less than $10, or a little more than $10 in each one of these. So what's going to happen? I'm going to take this apart. Well, experiment number one. I'm a member of several large-scale forums, and I'm kind of a ghost member. I sit back there in the back and I read and learn because I'm a learner. They call us lurkers, but I'm a learner. And they got into a discussion about how to unglue glue. And it seems that there were a lot of ways, a lot of suggestions by a lot of people. And the one that seemed to be the most prevalent was put it in the freezer. Leave it in the freezer till it's good and frozen, and that will break the glue loose. Well, before I get into my Bumblebee that's going to require some work on it, I want to find out if this is true, and I'm not going to do it on the Bumblebee because I did pay, okay, I paid something like $31 for it, or $30 and some change. But that was in 2006. A new Bumblebee probably would, even on eBay, this model, the old model, would probably cost me $150. And that's for one as old as mine. So I'm still not willing to experiment with it. But this one is coming apart. I'm going to take out the screws that are supposed to relieve the top from the bottom, like I will probably do on the Bumblebee if I get it right. And then I'm going to put this upper part in the freezer right over here next to my model shop. And we'll just see what works and what doesn't work. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be an interesting thing for all of us to learn. This is what I'm hoping will be something of interest. This is my empty box. So what's an empty box? Well, it's a box that is empty. Now, I will start every teardown with an empty box. When I get finished putting it back together, if there's anything left in the empty box, I've messed up. It starts out empty, it ends up empty, and it will never be used for storage. It's going to be my empty box. So that's just what I do. And I have to do that, or I'll get so confused I won't even know what I'm doing. So I'm off and running with the empty box. Okay, everyone, I've taken as much of this locomotive apart as I can, and just to get down to where you need to get down to, and this is why this was a good idea to get a sacrificial locomotive. I mean, it's fine, but It took a lot of work to get to the point that I really want to get to with my other locomotives when I start installing DCC cards and sound cards. Here we go. This is what it looks like. There you go. What I have is the main loco body. This is all the drive components, and I haven't even attempted to take it apart. I took some of these drive components apart, but the thing is, you start taking this apart, you have to take almost everything apart because I use a single screw to put 3 or 4 parts on. So I've got all my parts laid out, and my empty box. Remember I mentioned the empty box? Let's go take a look at the empty box now. Sorry about the whipping around. You see all these screws? This is what it took for me to get to the point that I'm at right now. So this isn't just a clip-on, clip-off kind of thing. This is pretty serious. It took these tools to do it. Not a big deal, they're fairly common, except for maybe this 90-degree Phillips and flat screwdriver, and that was necessary. Plus, I had this. Let me put that over there. That is an extendable magnet. You probably, anytime you start one of these things, you might want to have one of those. So anyway, now comes the next part of the experiment. Okay, this is where it started. What I wanted to do, if you look at the parts list in my book, there's a lot of parts on this thing that should come apart. But they're glued together. And I might want to pull some of these parts off, use them on another loco, whatever, repaint them, because obviously this color is, well, let's just say it's not my favorite. I might want to cut some of these details off of here and use it on another model. I don't know. You know, there's just all kinds of possibilities. But this is such a cheap train, I'm not too worried about it. So what am I going to do now to get them apart? I'm going to put it in the freezer. I'm going to put this piece in the freezer, and I'm going to see just how many, well, just see if the glue releases or not. I don't know if the glue will release, but everybody says it will. I still have a few screws I can take out of some of these parts and separate them. I'm not too worried about that as much as I am the glued parts, so I may just set these in the freezer. But I'm going to see just how far this will break down, and I will end up with a box, and I'll pull out one of my plastic shoe boxes, and I'll fill it with parts that might be used at a later date. I still haven't figured out everything I need to get the cab off of this loco, but I know it comes off because I'm looking at the book and it all comes apart, and this is actually in 2 pieces. So we'll see after it comes out of the freezer. Folks, if I've got my train parts in the freezer, we'll come back in a few days, let it get really cold and frozen, and we'll see what it's like to take it apart. Now, lessons learned. First of all, if you're going to take on one of these more complicated locomotives, I am so glad that I got kind of a disposable unit, real cheap, because I didn't break anything. I can put it back together, but it took a lot just to figure out how to get into it. So I think it will make it much easier when I get to the Bumblebee to know exactly what I want to take off and how I want to get to it without having to worry about damaging it. And there's some wires that might get away from you if you're not careful, and you might break a couple. I know where they are now. I didn't break them, and I also know how to get it apart without damaging anything. So it's just a good idea, a real good idea to have an extra. Or if you've got a really nice one and you want to tear into it, be prepared to possibly sacrifice something. But anyway, this one's not a big deal right now. I'm still learning from it, and when I get the plastic, stuff, the styrene pieces out of the freezer, I'll find out what is glued in and what is not glued in. That will make it a bit easier, because I know on these particular locomotives, for instance with the Bumblebee, if I wanted to, I can get a wooden cabin for that. It's supposed to be wood anyway, but there's aftermarket out there that put together the kits. They're laser cut and they're solid wood. So if you really wanted to spruce one of these up, you could do that. But first you have to get one of these cabs off. Well, I'll get the cab off, but it may be after it comes out of the freezer. We'll see. I've got all the screws out that I can find, so now I don't know. Anyway, we'll move on from here, and I may just go ahead and post this as a short video to let you know where I am. So we'll talk to you later. Bye.